The street musician didn't see them at first. He was focused on his guitar, on the song, on the small crowd gathered around him, playing Let It Be like his life depended on it, like the song meant something personal, something deep, something beyond just being a Beatles cover. Like he understood what the song was really about, what Paul had been feeling when he wrote it, what it meant to find peace in chaos, to let things be when you couldn't control them, to accept what you couldn't change. The Beatles stopped, all four of them. Walking through London, their city, just another day, just another walk. Then they heard it, their song, their words, their melody, but different, slower, more emotional, more raw, played by someone who needed the song, not someone performing it, someone living it. John nudged Paul. "That's yours, he's playing Let It Be." They stood at the back of the crowd, just four more people listening. Nobody recognized them. Nobody saw the Beatles, just saw four guys in the crowd, watching a street musician, listening to a song everyone knew. But the musician was making it his own, making it personal, making it matter. What happened in the next 10 minutes would become one of the most beautiful moments in Beatles history. Not because of what they did, but because of what the musician chose, what he said, what he understood about them, about their music, about what it meant to people. Not just entertainment, not just hits, but connection, meaning, hope. The reason they'd started making music in the first place, before the fame, before the money, before everything got complicated, when it was just about the song, the feeling, the message. This is that story. March 15th, 1969, London, Oxford Street, 2 p.m. The Beatles were walking, rare moment, all four together. No cameras, no schedule, no obligations. Just walking through London, their city, the place that had made them, shaped them, given them everything. They needed this. After the tension, after the fights, after the get-back sessions nearly tore them apart, they needed to remember why they were brothers, why they'd started this, why it mattered. Oxford Street was crowded. Shoppers, tourists, workers on lunch breaks, normal London afternoon. Nobody looking for Beatles, nobody expecting them. Just people living their lives, going about their days, not knowing they were about to witness something special, something rare, something that would remind everyone why music matters, why connection matters, why art is more than just entertainment. They heard it first, before they saw him. A guitar, a voice, singing Let It Be. Paul's song, the one he'd written after a dream about his mother, the one that had become an anthem, a message, a prayer. Let it be. When things are difficult, when you can't control them, when you can only accept and hope and trust, let it be. The musician was maybe 30, rough around the edges, guitar case open, few coins scattered inside, not many. Street performing wasn't lucrative, wasn't glamorous, was hard work, was vulnerability, was putting your art out there and hoping people cared, hoping they stopped, hoping they listened. Most people didn't. Most people walked past, ignored, pretended street musicians were invisible. Background noise, not real artists, not worth their time. But this man was good, really good. Not technically perfect, not polished, but real, honest, emotional, like he understood the song, really understood it, like he'd lived it, like he needed it, like it was keeping him alive. And that's what made it beautiful. That's what made people stop. Not perfection, truth, connection, feeling. The Beatles stopped at the back of the crowd, maybe 20 people, listening, some tourists taking photos, some locals who'd heard him before, some just passing through who'd been caught by the music, by the emotion, by the way he sang like he meant every word. Paul felt something, pride, gratitude, understanding. This was why he'd written the song, not for money, not for fame, for this, for connection, for someone on a London street needing those words, needing that message, needing to be reminded to let it be, to find peace, to accept what they couldn't change. That's what music was for. That's what made it matter. The song ended. Applause. People dropped coins, thanked him, moved on. The crowd thinned, just a few people left, including 4 men at the back, still watching, still listening, still there. The musician looked up, saw them. 4 guys, dressed normally, not famous, not special, just people who'd stayed, who were still there, who cared enough to keep listening. He smiled. Thanks for staying. Most people don't. Most people drop a coin and walk away. But you stayed. That means something. That matters. Paul stepped forward. That was beautiful. The way you played it, like you understood what it meant. Not just the words, the feeling behind it, the reason it was written. That's rare. Most people just cover it. But you lived it. You made it yours. The musician looked closer, really looked. Recognition slowly dawning. Wait, you're Paul McCartney. You're the Beatles. All of you. You're here, on Oxford Street, listening to me play your song. That's impossible. Not impossible, John said. We were walking, heard you, stopped to listen, because you were good, because you made our song sound like it mattered, like it meant something beyond just being a hit. That's the highest compliment, not copying us, interpreting us, making it your own. The musician looked overwhelmed. I've been playing on streets for 2 years, since I lost my job, since my life fell apart. And your music, your songs, they've kept me going, kept me believing that things could get better, that peace was possible, that I could let it be, could accept what I couldn't change, could find hope even when things were hard. Your music saved me, kept me alive. I don't know how to thank you for that. George knelt down, at the musician's level. What's your name? Thomas. Thomas Wright. Thomas, you don't owe us thanks. We owe you thanks. For keeping our music alive, for understanding it, for making it matter, for proving that what we do actually helps people, actually means something. We needed to hear that. Needed to be reminded why we started this. Before it got complicated, before the fame and the money and the pressure, when it was just about the song, the connection, the feeling, you reminded us of that. So thank you. Paul sat down beside Thomas, right there on the street. Can I ask you something? What made you choose Let It Be out of all our songs? Why that one? Thomas thought. Because that's the one I needed when everything fell apart, when I lost my job, my flat, my life as I knew it. I was angry, bitter, fighting against reality, fighting against what I couldn't change. And then I heard your song, Let It Be, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And it hit me. I couldn't change what had happened, couldn't fight my way back to before, but I could accept, could let it be, could find peace in accepting reality instead of fighting it, could move forward instead of staying stuck in anger. Your song taught me that, saved me from my own bitterness, from destroying myself fighting things I couldn't change. Paul's eyes filled with tears. That's why I wrote it. My mother came to me in a dream. Mother Mary told me it would be okay to let it be when I was struggling, when everything felt impossible. She gave me that message, that peace, and I wrote the song hoping it would help someone else. The way her message helped me, and here you are. Proof that it did, that it does, that music can actually save people, can actually matter. That's everything. That's why we do this. Ringo looked at the guitar case. Few coins, not much. How much do you make? Playing on streets? On a good day, 20 pounds. Bad day, 5. Enough to eat, to survive, to keep going. Not enough to change anything. Not enough to get off streets, but enough to keep playing, keep creating, keep sharing music. That's what matters. Not the money, the music, the connection, the fact that sometimes someone stops, someone listens, someone cares, like you did. That's worth more than any amount of money. John pulled out his wallet, took out everything, maybe 100 pounds, put it in the case. That's not charity, that's payment. For reminding us why we do this, for proving our music matters, for keeping it alive in a way that actually means something. You deserve this. You've earned this. Paul did the same. George, Ringo, hundreds of pounds. More money than Thomas had probably seen in months. Years. His eyes went wide. I can't. That's too much. I didn't do anything. Just played a song. Your song. I can't take this. You did everything? Paul said. You reminded us what music is for. Not fame, not money, not success, connection, meaning, hope, helping people when they need help, being there when someone needs to be reminded to let it be. That's what we've been forgetting, what we've been losing in all the fighting, all the tension, all the pressure. We forgot why we started, but you reminded us. That's worth everything. Take it, please. You've earned it. You've helped us more than you know. A crowd was gathering now, recognizing the Beatles, pulling out cameras, calling to friends. It's them! It's the Beatles! On Oxford Street! But the Beatles didn't leave, didn't run, stayed with Thomas, protected him, made sure the moment wasn't lost in the chaos of recognition, made sure he understood what he'd done, what he'd meant, what he'd reminded them of. Will you play one more song, John asked? For us, just us, before the crowd gets too big, before this moment ends. One more song, whatever you want. Your choice, Thomas thought, then smiled, started playing. Not a Beatles song, his own song, original, about loss, about survival, about finding hope in darkness, about letting it be when you can't control things, about moving forward when you can't go back. It was beautiful, raw, honest, real. The kind of song the Beatles had been trying to write, had been trying to create, but had lost in all the fighting, in all the complexity, in all the pressure to be perfect. Thomas's song wasn't perfect, but it was true, and truth is always more valuable than perfection. When he finished, the Beatles applauded, really applauded, not polite applause, genuine appreciation, recognition of talent, of artistry, of someone who understood what music was really about. That was yours? Paul asked. You wrote that? Yes, just finished it. Been working on it for weeks. About everything I've been through, everything I've learned, everything your music taught me. That's a hit, John said. That's a real song, a meaningful song. You should record it, should share it, should let the world hear what you can do. I'm a street musician. Nobody wants to hear my songs. Nobody cares what I create. I'm just entertainment, background noise. No, Paul said firmly. You're an artist, a real artist, and your songs matter. They deserve to be heard, properly, not just on streets, in studios, on records, reaching people who need them, like you needed ours. That's what art is for, passing it forward, helping others the way you were helped. Will you let us help you? Help you record, help you share your music? Not charity, recognition of talent, of artistry, of someone who deserves to be heard. Thomas cried, nodded, couldn't speak, just nodded, overwhelmed, grateful, understanding that his life had just changed, that the Beatles had just changed it. Not with money, not with fame, but with recognition, with validation, with proof that his music mattered, that he was an artist, that his songs deserved to be heard. Years later, Thomas Wright would have a successful career, multiple albums, tours, recognition as a serious songwriter, an artist who wrote meaningful music, music that helped people, music that mattered. He'd always credit that day, March 15th, 1969, Oxford Street, when the Beatles stopped to listen, when they recognized his talent, when they reminded him he was an artist. Not a street musician, an artist, someone whose songs mattered, someone who deserved to be heard. And the Beatles would credit that day too, as a reminder of why they'd started, why music mattered, why connection was more important than perfection, why helping someone understand their own worth was more valuable than any hit song, any amount of money, any measure of success. Thomas had reminded them, and they'd helped him. And that exchange, that moment, that connection, that was what music was really about. That was what made it all worthwhile. That was everything. March 15th, 1969. The Beatles walked past a busker playing their song, and then they did something incredible. Not just stopping, not just listening, but recognizing, validating, helping, reminding a struggling artist that his music mattered, that he was valuable, that his songs deserved to be heard, and in doing so they reminded themselves of why they'd started, why it mattered, why music was worth the struggle, the fighting, the pressure, because moments like this, connections like this, people like Thomas. That's what made it all worthwhile. That's the lesson. That's the gift. That's what we should all do. Stop to listen, recognize talent, validate artists, help people understand their worth, not from pity, not from obligation, but from recognition, from understanding, from knowing that art matters, that artists deserve support, that connection is more valuable than anything. That's what the Beatles taught Thomas, and what Thomas taught them: recognition, validation, worth. The things every artist needs, the things every person deserves, the things that change lives when given freely, when shared generously, when offered with love. That's everything.